ano na yan, doon na yan yung pinag-uusapan dyan, doon na yan sa 2.4 na klaro naman na for now, hindi pwedeng pag-usapan.
Doon ko itatanong kay Attorney Joey. Attorney, may distinction ba yung failure to report at saka doon sa ill-gotten wealth? Kasi para sa mga ordinaryong mamamayan, pareho lang yun. Hindi ka nag-report, posibleng ill-gotten. Hindi ba yun pareho yung dalawang charges na yun?
Legally speaking, may pagkakaiba yun. Kasi ang sinasabi ng ruling ng Senate Tribunal is yung failure to publicly disclose na binabanggit dun sa articles of impeachment, ang tinutukoy nun, maaaring dalawang klase no, ng offensa. Una, hindi ka nag-submit. At pangalawa, kahit na nag-submit ka, hindi mo nilagay lahat ng pag-aari mo. Yun naman ang tinutukoy din nung sa kinatawan nung sa katawan nung article na yon, yung tinatawag nating paragraph 2.3, na hindi sinama lahat ng ari-arian ni Chief Justice Corona ang doon sa kanyang salin, yung mga assets nga na nilalabas ngayon ng prosecution.
Ang question din na siguro kay Attorney Manix na lang ask natin na magpaliwanag, yung tinanong kanina ng presiding officer kung bakit nag-imbestiga ngayon itong si Commissioner. Ibig sabihin, why did they go out of their way, aside from securing lang the ITR, bakit nila inimbestigahan pati itong yung anak ni Chief Justice Corona?
Actually, maganda yung sagot ni Commissioner Henares dyan dahil nasa responsibilidad nga naman nila yon. Actually, yung BRR, pag meron kasi mga sinasubmit na transaction for mga payment ng taxes and all of that, they're actually mandated to make sure na valid yung transaction na yun. And tama rin yung pagbayad ng buwis, no? Parang yung nabanggit mo kanina, nag-uusap tayo, parang pinapalabas kasi na it's an ordinary sale. Pero mukhang sinasabi ni Commissioner Henares na hindi naman kaya yata bayaran nung anak yung ganung kalaking halaga, no? So parang lumalabs-luwid, medyo simulated yung transaction and therefore hindi siya dapat sale na tinawag and it should have been siguro assessed as a
Quick follow-up ng Attorney Manix.
donation, no?
Yung
Mas malaki yung bayad.
Valid ba yung konklusyon na yon? Kasi tumayo agad si Justice Cuevas na konklusyon na yon na walang kakayahan at pinapa-strike out na. Is it valid for the Commissioner to make that conclusion?
Well, siguro kasi yung opisina ng BIR talagang they're tasked to raise revenue for the government. So yung mga konting ganyan na suspicioso na transaction, talagang babagsakan ka ng mga ganyang, let's say, whether it's premature or not. The burden now is on the taxpayer to prove na tama ho yung binayad naming buwis and tama yung nireport namin na transaction.
Attorney Manix, gusto kong maintindihan lang itong nakitang irregularidad ni Commissioner Henares. Sabi niya nga may irregularidad dahil diniklara itong sale at hindi donation. Ano po ba yung pagkakaiba nung dalawa at bakit nagkaroon ng irregularidad sa palagay ng witness?
Medyo malaki yung diferensya. Doon pa lang sa halaga nung babayaran mo na buwis, malaki-malaki na. Yung tax rate kasi for an ordinary sale, for a capital asset is 6%, no? Of the declared value or the zonal value or the fair market value or whichever is higher. Unlike in a donation, it's a fixed rate of I think 20%, depending on the value of the item donated. So doon pala makikita natin malaki-malaki na yung disparity. And hindi rin tuloy nakapagtaka kung meron mo mag-iisip na siyempre doon ka mag-i-report mo yung mas mababa na transaction.
Balikan natin ng konti pa ng Attorney Joey. Mahaba yung naging debate. Umabot ng 1 oras yung kabuuan ng debate, initial na debate. Tumayo yung mga ilang senador at nagdebate na naman sila hinggil dun sa naging earlier ruling kung ano yung pwedeng i-allege o ano yung pwedeng payagan na ebidensya. Explain nga sa ating kababayan kung anong nangyari doon.
Sa aking palagay, merong 3 issue na lumabas kaya humaba yung diskusyon kanina, no? Sabi mo nga, inabot tayo ng 1 oras. Ang unang-una na rito ay yung binigkas ni Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago na parang meron yatang pagbibintang ng violation of the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act si Chief Justice Corona na hindi naman na-allege, hindi nabanggit dun sa verified complaint or dun sa articles of impeachment. So tinatanong niya ang prosecution, pinagbibintangan niyo ba si Chief Justice ng violation ng Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act? Kasi sa aking pagbasa sa verified complaint,
Wala.
hindi naman lumalabas ito.
Pero Attorney Joey, mahalaga bang mabanggit kung nagkaroon ng violation itong law na ito, gayong impeachment proceeding naman po ito?
Kung magaganda, paumanhin, pero kung maganda sana ang pagkalahad ng mga bintang kay Chief Justice Corona, siguro specifically binanggit din ito sana nung ating House Prosecution Panel, Pero gayunpaman, kahit hindi na ibanggit ito, parang kung pag-iisipan mo, kung merong offense na na-commit, hindi kaya naturalmente na merong ibang complaint na pwedeng maiahain sa kanya. Maaaring hindi dito sa impeachment trial. Maaari sa ibang tribunal, sa ibang korte, sa ombudsman, Kasi kung sinasabing violation ng Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. Ang pangalawang issue kung bakit medyo natagalan tayo, yung parang sinasabi na may nagkaroon yata ng leakage ng documents ng ITR ni Chief Justice Corona at ng kanyang asawa dahil marami sa kasama natin sa media at sinasabi sa publiko rin daw na meron ng pinangahawakan na ganito. So, medyo nabahala ang ating mga senador para sigurado na hindi ito lalabas basta-basta sa publiko. At yung pangatlo ay dahil nga hindi siguro sa tingin ng ibang senador na maayos ang pagkahain ng verified complaint, para bang medyo may tinutumbok si Senator Santiago na hindi kaya magandang i-amend din nyo itong complaint para kung talagang may binibintang kayong violation ng Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act or Ill-Gotten Wealth, isaad ninyo ng specific sa inyong verified complaint or amended complaint. Kaya bumalik na naman ang diskusyon tungkol dun sa Article 2 at kung pwedeng ang tanggapin yung allegation na nakasaad sa paragraph 2.4.
Sa haba-haba ng diskusyon, Cathy, merong binanggit Attorney Manix si Senate President Enrile na mukhang ruling ng Supreme Court na nagsasabi nga na contrary to earlier discussions, mukhang meron na palang ruling ang Supreme Court na pwedeng hindi lamang isa under one article. Tama po ba yun?
Pasensya na, hindi ko narinig yung pag sinabi ni Senator Enrile nun. Pero medyo sang-ayon ako dun sa pananaw na yun dahil in fact, yung sinasabi rin kanina ni Congressman Tañada na si Chief Justice Corona mismo in a decision on an ill-gotten wealth case, siya mismo nagsabi na the technical rules of proceeding should be relaxed. So the government or the prosecution, in terms of trying to figure out whether there was ill-gotten wealth or not, should be given that flexibility or let's say they'll relax the rules just to prosecute successfully. Yeah.
Attorney Manix, kung sakasakali pong mapagpasyahan ng prosekusyon na i-amyenda itong articles of impeachment, ano po ba yung prosesong pagdadaanan?
Naku, medyo ako ayoko isipin dahil nakikita ko lang baka umulit lang uli yung mga nakaraang araw na mahabang proseso dahil ang mangyayari malamang nito kung ganun nga yung magiging desisyon ng House Prosecution Panel na siguro kailangan nila ayusin nga yung article, babalik doon sa House uli yung matter na whether na habulin yung ill-gotten wealth, and they have to amend the complaint, and they have to get the necessary 1/3 of the House verified uli yan para lang maibalik sa impeachment court nyo. No? So, tas yung hindi natin alam kung ano ba yung acceptable na, yung admitted na record na nung kaso, ulitin ba uli yung mga presentation of the witness? Or,
so, hindi advisable na gawin nila ito?
Bihirang mangyari yun eh.
At sana huwag mangyari.
Sa ordinary case kasi ayaw kasi lalo ng mga abogado na aminin na nagkamali sila dun sa sasaad nung let's say yung mga allegations and all. So pag may pagkukulang man dun sa nilagay dun sa kaso, sa complaint, that's one of the last things that a lawyer will admit to, no? Kaya tingin ko ganun din yung nangyayari sa prosecution natin.
Na lang,
Medyo parang ganun ang nangyayari.
Napansin din natin kanina na yung ilan sa mga senador tumayo nga at mas mismo si presiding sinabihan yung mga abogado na bawal ngang mag-argue yung abogado. At meron siyang binanggit na parang prinsipyo na dahil hindi sila elected, hindi sila pwede in any of the floors of Congress. Paki-explain nga yan, Attorney Joey.
Sa aking pagkakaintindi, Ang tinutukoy ni Senator Enrile doon, dahil nga meron tayong mga inelect na kinatawan, ano? Unang-una yung sa Senado at pangalawa sa Congress. Sa Congress, hindi naman lahat yan elected dahil meron tayong party list system na may mga iba dyan na umupo na hindi naman elected. Ang aking intindi, ang privilege of engaging in debate and argumentation ay para lamang doon sa mga elected na kinatawan at mga senador. So kung hindi ka naman elected, hindi ka dapat nakikipagdebate sa iyong elected representative. Ito'y napansin ni Senator Enrile at kanyang binigkas yung kanyang binitawan kaninang salita dahil parang napansin niya na yung prosecutor, private prosecutor ng ating under supervision ng House Prosecution Panel ay nakikipagdebate kay Senator Miriam Defensor. Ano? So sabi niya, hindi pwede yan. Unang-una, maski sa amin sa Kongreso, hindi lahat pwedeng makipagdebate sa kapwa representante.
Attorney Joey, tutuloy natin yung ating diskusyon. Samantala, puntahan naman natin ang press briefing na nagaganap. Ito po ay mula sa side ng defense. Panoorin po natin.
Na ako magkomento no, sa isang pagkakataon na dinidinig pa. Kami ho'y talagang humihingi lang ng pag-unawa at pasensya sapagkat kahit alam namin ni Attorney Tranquil yung mga sagot at alam na namin yung po pwede namin sabihin, kami ho ay mga responsableng tao. Kami ho ay mga abogado, alam ho namin ang aming kapasidad at alam rin ho namin ang aming responsibilidad ng naaayon sa batas. Ngayon, kung uumpisahan ho namin na pinupuna ho namin sila sa ginagawa nilang sabihin na natin paglalabas ng dokumento sa publiko, mawawalan ho kami ng moral ascendancy over them. And as of this date, I would like to believe that the signs are very clear. The signs are all over. Na kaya nagkakaroon ng kaguluhan, nagkakaroon ng kalituhan, nagkakaroon ng mga paghuhusga kahit tumatakbo pa ang proseso, ay sapagkat may mga tao talaga na hindi makapaghintay. At may mga tao talagang gusto nang sirain ang Chief Justice Corona habang siya'y nililitis pa. Yan ho ang hindi namin papayagan. At kung kailangan ho namin na tumutol, mariin ho namin tututulan yan.
Opo. Going back dun sa with regard to paglalabas ng document, sir. Since kanina, 'di ba, parang yung prosecution were censured by the Senate judges with regard to dun sa ano, but they denied it.
Opo.
So, can you say that right and then that the prosecution are lying?
Alam niyo po yan, kayo po nagsabi niyan, hindi kami. Kayo po ay mga mamamayan na katulad namin. Nakikita niyo po, kayo po ay araw-araw na nandito eh. Nakakatanggap rin naman po kayo ng dokumento. Sinabi nga po ng iba sa akin dito, pero secret natin yan. Hindi po ba? Hindi natin po sasabihin yon. Okay, pero alam na lang po natin yan. Palasak yun eh, lantad na lantad. Ngayon, ang tatanong niyo sa akin, are they lying? Ay, mahirap naman po, baka babaging kami. Kayo na ho nakakaalam doon.
Siguro hindi lang sila nagsasabi ng totoo.
Sir, Kay Imson po from TV5.
Opo.
Sir, sa palagay nyo, ano kaya yung dahilan sa likod nitong patuloy na paglabas ng mga documents na ito kahit na umpisa pa lamang po ng trial, pinagsabihan na po tayo ng impeachment court?
Dalawang bagay po yan. Una, ang tingin ko po dyan, gusto makondisyon ng isip ng tao na talagang may kasalanan yung nakademanda si Chief Justice. May kasalanan ito eh. So, kailangan makondisyon na ang pag-iisip ng mamamayan. Para pag nagkaroon ng desisyon na hindi angkop or ayon sa gusto nila, hindi pa pwede yan. Pwede natin tulakin, sabihin sa tao, hindi pwede yon. Hindi po, ayun po ang sa nakikita ko. Pangalawa, isa po itong paraan para ma-smoke screen na walang ebidensya. Kasi po, pag wala kang ebidensya, sa batas po, sinasabi niyan, it's more of form rather than substance. Hindi po ba? Dapat sinasabi nyo nga yung lalaki, pag nakita kayo, babae, naku, puro forma naman yan at wala namang sinasabi. Yun pong inaasahan natin na maipatkita nila ang sustansya ng kanilang ebidensya. Pero so far po, wala eh. Wala pa kaming nakikita na ebidensyang para tumayo. Kayo naman po yung nagmamasid. Kayo po ang makakasagot sa amin. Meron po ba? Ang kakapal na ho siguro ng dokumentong natatanggap ninyo. Sinusuri na nyo. Iba siguro sa inyo, nag-a-upload na rin. Ang tanong ko, nakikita nyo po ba kung may ebidensya na? Ganun po.
Siguro ito, buhat ito ng isang minadali at hindi pinag-isipang verified complaint. Ngayon ho, nakikita na ho natin, meron na ho mga usapin sa loob ng impeachment court na nagtatanong ang ibang mga senator judges, bakit nyo ina-allege, bakit nyo hinahatulan o sinasabihan na ginawa na ito ni Chief Justice kung wala pala kayong ebidensya? Meron na nga ho mga usapin dyan na paano o kailangan ba nilang i-amend ang kanilang verified complaint. Alam nyo ho, hindi ho sa depensa ng gagaling yan. Ngayon ho, ang tanong, kaya ba ito tumatagal? Dahil pilit humahanap ng ebidensya upang susugan at suportahan ang mga aligasyon na siguro'y bigla na lamang naisip, sige, isampa na natin to. Tara na, game na. Tapos ngayon ho, nung nandito na ho tayo sa laro, o nandito na ho tayo sa proseso, ayoko sumali sa proseso. Pero nakakaramdam ho kami, parang may bumabatok sa amin eh. Hindi naman ho tama yun.
May dadagdag ko rin po, sabi rin ng ating Senate President as presiding officer, kung maalala nyo, may binasa siyang portion na desisyon ng Supreme Court, tama po, na nauukol sa impeachment complaint laban kay dating Ombudsman Merceditas Gutierrez. Ito po yung napakaliwanag at sana'y makuha po ninyo kung gagawa kayo ng balitang. Sabi doon sa desisyon ito na ang bawat article ay dapat may ang bawat isang act. Okay, ang bawat ground ay isang actuation lamang. Hindi pwedeng sakupan mo na napakadami ang iisa. Kaya nga inisa isang ground yan eh. Kahit po sa Amerika, ang ginagawa yan, kaya magugulat kayo kung mabasa po kayo ng articles of impeachment, sangkatutak po, maabot ng 40 kasi kailangan po isa-isahin yun. Ang ginagawa po, so pinaliwanag po, ilang beses inulit yan ng ating Senate President, presiding officer. Sabi niya, hindi ako ang nagbibigay niyan. Ang Supreme Court natin ang nagdesisyon yan. And that is fairly consistent with what is provided for po sa rules of court na sinabi, every action should have one cause of action. At ang information naman po sa criminal case, every information should have one charge or act committed. Ganun po. So napakaliwanag naman po. So consistent ito sa batas. Tapos binasa lamang po ng ating Senate President. Ngayon po, nasan po tayo nakatayo? So ito na po yung nakikita natin. Mabuti naman kami natutuwa na kahit papano, may mga ilan na nakakaintindi rin po kung ano ang nangyayari. Katanungan po.
Parang naging chapsuy ho yung verified complaint. Yun ho ang ano dyan, nakalulungkot.
Sir, good afternoon. John Descao, Bombo Radio. Doon, ano magiging stand ng depensa dyan doon sa paragraph 2.4, sakaling magkakaroon ng amendment, saan mangyayari yan dito sa Senado? Ibabalik sa Kamara?
Ay, magandang tanong po yan. Kailangan ibalik yan. Sa ordinaryong kaso po, whether civil or criminal case, ang pag-amyenda po pwede doon sa husgado. Hingi ka lang ng motion. Pwede nyo po ba akong pagbigyan na i-amend? Pero po ito, ibang klaseng complaint po ito eh. Ito ay complaint na nasa konstitusyon natin. At para i-amend po ito, kailangan ibalik ito sa House. Tandaan nyo po, 188 ang pumirma nito. Ang tanong lang dito, siyempre, tayong mga Pilipino, alam nyo yun, may kahiyaan na ito eh. Alam nyo po? Kahiyaan na ito eh. Medyo baon na tayo, pumustura na tayo. Ituloy na natin. Pero po siguro, para sa ating taong bayan, dahil malaking pera rin naman po nagagamit po rito, siguro naman ay pwedeng tingnan nilang ulit. Hindi naman po natin sinasabing wag sila mag-file eh. Ang sinasabi po, baka tingnan nila ulit para na po hindi madrag ang ating buong bayan sa ganitong proseso. Nakakadalawang linggo na po tayo. Yung iba po ay akala ito isang boxing. Pinanonood tayo parang basketball. Hindi po ba? We could do a lot of things for the country kung hindi naman po dapat na tumatayo ang complaint na ito. Yun po.
Siguro kung maaari ko lang idagdag, kaya kami nababahala na may mga nababalitaan kami na yung 188 na pumirma ay parang nagkaroon sila ng ngayon 188 movement upang ipakita raw sa mga tao, sa mga constituents nila kung ano yung sustansya ng kanilang pinirmahan na verified complaint. Ito yung labis ho ako dito nababahala sapagkat nung pinirmahan ho nila yon yung verified complaint, ay sinasabi ho nila doon sa verification na ito ay kanilang binasa, kanila itong naintindihan, at dahil sa kanilang naintindihan, pipirmahan namin to at sasali kami dyan sa verified complaint na yan. Bakit po ngayon? Bakit kung kailan napirmahan mo na? Doon mo palang ba kukumbinsihin yung mga tao o mga nasasakupan mo na tama ang ginawa mong pagpirma doon? At makikita ho natin doon sa 188, ni isa wala pa naman ho sigurong nagsasabi o kung talagang naniniwala ho sila dito wala pa naman ho sa kanilang tumitistigo at sinasabi na tama ho lahat ng mga aligasyon na nakalagay doon sa kanilang verified complaint.
Sir, kanina, reaction lang po. Kanina may pinunto po si Senator Cheese na yung ibang ebidensyang pinipresenta yata ay may kinalaman sa mga omissions before maging CJC.
Bago siya maging Chief Justice.
Corona.
Oo. Maganda yun. Napakaganda po yung punto na sinabi ng ating Senator Escudero. Sabi niya, sandali lamang. Bakit natin sinusuri ang mga aktwasyon o mga ginawa niya bago siya mag-Chief Justice? Yun ang tanong niya. Hindi ba ating dinidemanda siya at ini-impeach bilang Chief Justice? Yun ang katanungan yun. Yun po ay hindi pa naman sinasagot. Pero ang sinasabi namin, maganda pong punto yon na tingnan natin at susugan. Kasi nga naman, bakit yung buong buhay niya? Yung iba nga pong pagkakataon in the past, di ba? Noong mga ilang araw, gustong balikan kahit nung nagsimula siya ng unang-una sa gobyerno. Noong 1992 pa po.
Follow up po doon sa questionan. Meron po bang batas na nagsasabi na dapat doon sa impeachment, dito lang sa panahon na naging Chief Justice si Corona, ano?
Usually ho, ganito yan, sa batas, sa rules of court. You could only be penalized. Pwede ka lang po mapatawan ng parusa sa mga aktwasyon na ginawa mo. Okay? Kahit po sa criminal case, as a civil case, yun lamang pong may cause of action na meron kang violate na right ng iba pang tao. Pero po ito, sa what you call this, itong ating impeachment complaint, kung titingnan niyo po ito, ang ugat po nito ay konstitusyon. Ngayon, kailangan po tingnan, kaya naman hindi ni-resolve pa nila eh. They only noted the manifestation. Ang sinabi lang, kaya nga natigilan tayo lahat, baka may punto, no? Baka may punto. Ito yung sinususugan natin, buong buhay niya. Bakit kaya hindi lang yung portion na Chief Justice siya? Because that is the only act or that time that he was there, that is in question right now. Yun po yun. Opo, yun nga yung pinoint out ni Senator Pangilinan. Kaya nga po sabi ng wag na muna, take note natin pareho. Kasi sinabi ni Senator Pangilinan, bakit associate justice naman siya nakalagay sa konstitusyon. So yun po, dun po naiwan yun. Wala pa po silang decision doon sa aspect na yun. Yun po ang usapan nila ron.
Good afternoon.
Opo.
Has the defense decided on yung inhibition po ni Senator Drilon?
Ikaw sumagot na.
We filed a motion for inhibition this afternoon. Again, ayaw ho namin magkomento dyan sa merito niya, no? Sapagkat na-file na ho namin at nasa secretariat na ho yan.
Sangayon po ako sa aming kasama na siguro pwede namin paabot lamang sa inyo ngayon ay meron na po kaming na-file na motion for inhibition at tanggap na po iyon ng secretariat. Yung pong kung kanino, kung ilan at kung anong dahilan, siguro po alam ninyo yon. Pero po hindi po namin pwedeng discussing ngayon kasi nakalatag po sa lamesa ang motion. Baka nga po hindi nakikita pa ng mga ibang senator judges, tapos mamaya paglabas tatanungin nyo, ayon sa mga spokesperson, baka naman po mapasama kami. Ang masasabi lang namin ay may nilatag po kami. Opo.
Ipagpaumanhin nyo, hindi ho talaga
yun, wala kaming authority doon sa aspect na yon. Sa ngayon, ano po?
Marami. So, konting paumanhin lang talaga.
Na aligasyon? Yung allegations doon, siguro makikita nyo sa aming paglatag doon, mga 2-3 aligasyon. Salient portions. So. Kaya lang hindi namin pwedeng discussing sa ngayon.
Mga ilang oras lang ho, makakakuha na kayo ng
siguro ang masasabi ko po ganito ay sa inyo ito. Kayo po ay nagmamasid ng impeachment process na to. Alam niyo po kung sino ang aming papailan. Hindi po sa amin, hindi ayaw po namin magsalita.
Actually, mukhang tranquil sila nga nag-suggest
Oo, parang kayo nga ata ang nag-suggest. Opo. Okay. Hindi naman po. Kasi depende yan sa pag-uusap ng senator judges, magko-caucus po yan, at hindi rin naman nangangahulugan na action na nila yan Kasi
ang strategy kasi ng depensa pareho pa rin. Nauuna sila sa press briefing room because public opinion is as important to this case as what is happening on the floor.
At konti lang tungkol doon sa mga natalakay nila, yun daw paglabas ng ITR ni Chief Justice Corona sa publiko no, at maging sa media ay sabi ng mga depensa ay upang ikondisyon daw yung isipan ng publiko at ng iba pang mga senator judges na mayroon ngang kasalanan itong si Chief Justice Corona.
At syempre mukhang sumusuporta sila doon sa argumento ni Senator Chis Escudero na hindi dapat kasama yung mga kasalanan kung meron man in the past before he became Chief Justice. We are back on session. Balikan po natin ito.
Just a few minutes more, Your Honor. May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. With regard to the property transaction involving McKinley Hills lot, did you also review the car for that transaction?
Yes, sir.
And can you tell the Honorable
Is
Court?
that, just to clarify, is that one of the alleged undisclosed or rather unincluded assets of the respondent?
In the shall end? Yes, Your Honor.
All right, proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Please answer, Madam Witness.
Yes, sir. We reviewed the certificate authorizing registration and the income tax history of the buyer.
Who is the buyer, ma'am?
Maria Charina R. Corona,
Who is the seller, ma'am?
Mega World Corporation.
And what was your finding with respect to the buyer?
The buyer is registered with us as an ONET taxpayer, which is just to purchase this property, and have not filed any income tax return to date.
I would like that point clarified before the Honorable Impeachment Court. Not a single income tax return, Madam Witness?
None, sir.
What about what we mentioned yesterday, Alpha List? Is there an Alpha List including the buyer?
None, sir, because she just registered as a one-time taxpayer, sir.
When was the transaction?
The transaction was dated October 22, 2008.
October 22, 2008. This time the buyer is the wife of the respondent.
No, Your Honor, please, daughter of the respondent, Chief Justice.
The daughter.
Daughter by the name of Charina.
This is apart from the one sold to another daughter?
Apart from La Vista property sold to Carla Beatriz.
Yeah, proceed.
Do you have the original of the car for the McKinley lot transaction?
Yes, sir.
Ikaw na lang doon. May we show the original with this, together with this photocopy marked before the Secretariat as Exhibit Quintupul R with a request for stipulation that the marked copy is a faithful reproduction of the original. Tulungan mo na ako. Yung quadruple R.
No objection to the substitution, Your Honor. We agree that the document being identified is a faithful reproduction of its original.
Thank you. Thank you, Justice. Madam Witness, there is a certification dated January 25, 2012 with regard to this particular taxpayer marked before the Secretariat as Exhibit Quintupol-F-1. Just for the sake of identifying it, will you confirm your signature, ma'am, at the foot of this document, Exhibit Quintupol-F-1?
It is my signature, sir. The original.
Madam Witness, in the course of your review of the Fort McKinley transaction, Fort McKinley lot,
McKinley Hills.
McKinley Hills, I'm sorry, Your Honor. McKinley Hill lot. Did you come across the deed of sale and other pertinent documents to the transaction?
What pertinent documents do you mean?
I reform, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Madam Witness, I will just limit myself to identification, Your Honor. You also issued, Madam Witness, a certified true correct copy from the original, marked Exhibit Quintupol F-2 of the BIR-IT Integrated Tax System. Print out of the ITS concerning this taxpayer. For the sake of identifying the document, can you confirm the signature above the name Kim S. Jacinto Hinares?
Yes, sir. It is my signature.
Do you also make the same confirmation with respect to Exhibit Quintupol F-3?
Yes, sir.
What about Exhibit Quintupol F-4?
It is my signature.
What about Exhibit Quintupol F-5?
It's my signature.
Quintupol F-6?
It's my signature.
Quintupol F-7?
It's my signature.
Quintupol F-8?
Yes, it's my signature.
And lastly, Quintupol F-9?
It's my signature, sir.
Last item, Your Honor, and I will close. You also mentioned yesterday, Madam Witness, that the BIR also issued a car or a certificate authorizing registration for shares of stock at the Palms Country Club. Do you have the original of that particular car?
Yes, sir.
I respectfully show to the defense the original of the car together with this photocopy marked before the Secretariat as Exhibit Quintupol P.
Just a minute. Is there a law requiring a car for securities? My recollection is the authorization of the commissioner is under the Internal Revenue Code, is limited to capital gains arising from real estate property.
The authority is for capital gains from real property and shares of stocks, sir.
What's the authority for shares of stock? I don't remember. I was the one who wrote that Internal Revenue Code, unless it was amended. that there is an authorization to secure the any authority from the BIR to register shares of stock when it's transferred to another name?
Sir, the certificate authorizing registration is, the certificate authorizing registration covers those that are subject to donor's tax, subject to estate tax, subject to capital gains tax, which include transfer of real property, transfer of shares of stock.
What is that in the Internal Revenue Code, or that is a part of your regulation?
It is in the Internal Revenue Code, sir.
What section?
Section 24C of the tax code, sir.
34C. 44C.
24C, sir.
24C.
Yes, sir.
Can you read it into the record?
Uh, 24C, capital gains from the sale of shares of stock not traded in the stock exchange. The provision of Section 39B, notwithstanding a final tax at the rate prescribed below, is hereby imposed upon the net capital gains realized during the taxable year from sale, barter, exchange, or other disposition of shares of stock in a domestic corporation, except shares sold or disposed of through the stock exchange, not over 100,000, 5% on an amount in excess, 10%.
Then when is the requirement that before the stocks are transferred, there must be an authority from the Commissioner of the Internal Revenue?
Sir, it's in the end.
I remember that I did not write any such provision in the code, but it is only required that the tax must be 10% instead of 0.5%.
Sir, I know it's here, but can I come back and...
I am sure that I did not write that in the law. I revised the revised bill of the Internal Revenue Code in 1996. And the only thing that we say is that in the case of the sale of tax securities and shares of stock outside the Philippine Stock Exchange, is that the tax must be 10% over, I think, over 100,000. And the assessment must be made by the Bureau of Internal Revenue, but there's no requirement that the Bureau of the Internal Commissioner of Internal Revenue will have to make a certification so that the succeeding issuance of a new certificate to the buyer can be issued. Except that is also only true in the case of land registration or land titles.
Sir, can I come back and answer that?
Yes, okay.
Yes.
But I don't think you can find it. The counsel, proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can I reiterate my request for defense counsel to please stipulate that the photocopy marked as Exhibit Quintupol P is a faithful copy of the car for this...
I think that will not be allowed because until now the commissioner cannot show us that she has to authorize the transfer of the stock certificates. There was a reason for, in the case of real estate, and a policy reason, and that is to prevent tax evasion.
Can I at least request for conditional marking, Your Honor.
No, you present it at the time that the commissioner is ready to show us the law.
Thank you, Your Honor. We submit. Will you please identify, Madam Witness, your certification in Exhibit Quintupol-P-2 and Exhibit Quintupol-P-2-C.
This is the deed of sale of common shares that was submitted to the Bureau of Internal Revenue by the parties.
Can I request stipulation, and this will be my last
Well,
question?
the same thing. We'll have to find out first whether there is an authority to the commissioner to give authorization in the transfer of stocks transacted privately before the new certificate was issued to the buyer.
We submit, Your Honor, and so we respectfully reserve our right to present these documents upon compliance with the directive of the Honorable Presiding Officer.
Order.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. That will be all. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I beg the court's kind indulgence if I had any failings.
No
Thank you
problem.
for your
No problem.
patience, Your Honor.
You are doing well.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Counsel may cross-examine if he wants to cross-examine.
If Your Honor, please, they have not announced on record that they are through with the direct examination. I would like to start now, Your Honor, but there may be a lot of repercussions later because he may ask quite a number of questions. I'm willing to proceed, Your Honor.
By thanking
I leave it to the pleasure to start the cross-examination now or not. It's your decision.
Right. If it will not be asking too much, Your Honor, I'll start with my cross-examination.
Proceed.
And this is in compliance with the directive of the Honorable Presiding Officer, Your Honor. Now, with the kind permission of the Honorable Court, I noticed that you have identified and discussed quite a number of transactions allegedly entered into between the Coronas, wherein the matter was brought to your attention, and within a week you have acted on it. Am I right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. And you dig deeper in those matters. You dig deeper into the capacity of the alleged buyer to pay the subject matter of the transaction. Is that, did I get you right?
It is in the face of the return, sir. I don't have to dig deeper.
No, you mean you did not examine anymore?
No,
No
sir.
examination made?
No, the income tax return I retrieved, and therefore I looked at the return and the card that was submitted, and based on that, that's why I said we made an examination.
Is this ordinary procedure that you adopt in your office?
Yes, Your Honor.
So
For
that-
some of the cases, especially for net worth method of investigation.
So you'll be able to present before this court transactions similarly circumstanced with this in the next hearing of this case.
Sir, I don't have to submit because we filed the case against Mr. Villarica under the same
No,
circumstance.
but I'm not asking you whether you filed the case or not. I'm asking you whether you'll be able to proceed to
Yes,
produce
sir.
before this court.
Objection, materiality, Your Honor. I invoke materiality as legal ground.
Well, he's under cross-examination. Let the witness answer.
All right. Now, kindly tell this honorable court, even 1, 2, or 3 transactions involving similarly circumstanced with this that you have acted upon within a week.
Yes, sir. Especially if especially if a taxpayer does not pay any taxes at all,
No.
then it is a very simple investigation.
No, again, you're not answering my question, Madam Commissioner. My question is, will you kindly tell this honorable court the cases that you have acted which are similar to the present
That
transaction?
is confidential information because my authority to disclose information is only limited to those in the subpoena.
You mean,
Well, you're under cross-examination. The counsel is simply asking whether there are taxpayers similarly situated that
Yes, sir.
also receive a similar treatment.
Yes, sir.
my question is whether he can make of record, Your Honor, those alleged cases, Your Honor.
Your Honor,
If she knows.
Sir?
If she knows. If you know.
Sir, I know, but I don't have authority to divulge it because of Section 71 and Section 270 of the National Internal Revenue Code.
You mean, but I heard you divulging a lot of transactions relative to income tax returns with respect to other persons in here other than the Honorable...
Misleading, Your Honor.
We submit, Your Honor.
No,
Misleading.
leading questions are authorized.
Misleading, Your Honor, please.
I'm misleading.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why misleading?
It assumes as true a fact not stated by the witness, or contrary to what the witness has stated, Your Honor.
What is the fact assumed by the counsel?
The counsel is assuming that the witness has mentioned other taxpayers' names, which is not the case. Aside from those listed in the subpoena, there are no other names.
I am on cross-examination, if Your Honor,
But
please.
I am objecting
entitled-
on the ground that it is misleading. You cannot ask misleading questions on cross.
Are you directing me?
Just a
Well, you
minute.
are not
The
supposed-
chair, I request the chair
Oh,
to
better-
so
thank
direct you.
Thank
Just
you.
a minute to clarify. Were you authorized by the President of the Philippines to reveal the income tax return of the persons mentioned by you in the course of your
Testimony.
examination in chief?
Sir, the order of the President said that I can disclose any information regarding the income of Chief Justice Corona from year 1992 to year 2010, Mrs. Cristina Corona from 1992 to 2010, Maria Carla Corona Constantino from year 2000 to 2010, the husband, Constantino III, from year 2000 to 2010, Maria Charina Corona from year 2005 to 2010, Francis Corona from 2005 to 2010, and all the cars relating to Bellagio 1 in year 2009, all the cars in relating to transaction of McKinley Hills for a certain year. It's in the memorandum issued by the President, and I have not disclosed anything that is not included in that order.
Well, the question of the defense counsel has been answered. Those are the other persons mentioned.
Right. Thank you, Your Honor. Now, I noticed that you're coming in here to testify as a witness was pursuant to a subpoena issued by this honorable court, right?
Yes, sir.
Were it not for the subpoena, you would not have voluntarily come over and testify.
No, I would not.
You would not, all right. I suppose you must have been informed about the nature of the testimony that will be elicited from you in this trial, right?
Your Honor, that's hypothetical.
Request.
Let the witness
This is a
answer.
request for admission, Your Honor.
Let the witness answer. She's a very intelligent witness.
Sir, by reason of the subpoena, I would believe an intelligent person would know what he will be asked to testify on.
You mean the subpoena states the matter that will be subject or covered in your testimony, or you are merely referring to the documents that you have to produce?
Yes.
Kindly clarify.
Sir, otherwise, I don't think I will be needed to testify if not for those documents that need to be presented.
No, but that is not the question to you. Did you have knowledge or information as to what will be the subject of your testimony, aside from producing the documents allegedly mentioned in the subpoena?
The knowledge I derived is from the subpoena sent to me, sir.
Nothing more?
Nothing more.
All right. So, am I right that you do not know Justice Corona, Chief Justice Corona personally?
Actually, I think I know him personally.
You know him?
Because he was my colleague in SGB for probably 4 months, and he is a professor of Ateneo Law School, although I was not under him. My husband was under him, and my husband said he's one of his favorite students.
Thank
so
you.
I must
How
know
about
him.
Mrs. Corona?
I don't know her personally, but I always meet her when she accompanies Justice Corona.
You are not acquainted with one another personally?
Acquainted as in I know she's Mrs. Corona and we say hi and we kiss each other in the cheek. Yes, we're acquainted.
Now, how about the children that you mentioned in your direct examination? Are you acquainted with them personally?
I've never met them personally. I may have met them, but I don't know that they were them. No? I mean, they were never introduced to me.
All right. Now, one of the daughters that you mentioned appearing in the deed of sale is Sarina Corona. Do you know her personally?
No.
You do not know, therefore, that she's abroad for no less than 10 years.
I was asked to testify only as to the documents
the
that I have.
No, the question is,
No.
do you know her personally?
No.
Okay.
So, no, your answer is, you probably do not know that she is abroad for no less than a decade.
It is not within my jurisdiction to know about that, sir.
I'm not asking you about your jurisdiction. I'm asking you a question personal to your...
I already said I don't know her, so how can I know she's here or not?
I see. Thank you.
Just please answer the question.
Thank you.
Whether you know her or you do not know her.
Yes, sir. I answered that I do not know her, and I wouldn't know where she is at this time.
Now, may I now continue, Your Honor?
Proceed.
Prior to your taking the witness stand today, I suppose you must have been in conference with the lawyers for the prosecution.
It is natural that they would get in touch with me, sir.
No, but you do not answer my question. Were you ever in conference with them? I'm not asking you whether you were in touch.
Yes, sir. Of course.
Who in particular? Congressman Tupas?
I met him, yes, sir, in one of the meetings.
So you conferred, he conferred with you in connection with this case?
With regard to the subpoena that they requested the Senate court to issue.
How about the private prosecutor?
Yes, sir.
Also?
Yes, sir.
And what was the coverage of your examination today where matters you discussed with them?
Yes, sir.
All right. What did they tell you that they will be asking you in connection with the alleged impeachment complaint filed against Chief Justice Corona?
They told me that I have to present all the documents that they are requesting for, and that I will testify with regard to the contents thereof.
I suppose they also inform you about their expectation on the subject that will be the subject matter of your examination, or they did not tell you about that?
What expectation? Vague. Vague, Your Honor. That's a legal ground, Your Honor, please.
Submitted, Your Honor.
Counsel must clarify what the term used, please, so that it will be understandable
by
the witness.
Now, when they talk with you, did they inform you as to what their purpose was when they conferred with you in connection with this impeachment case?
They told me that they are prosecuting an impeachment case against Chief Justice Corona.
I suppose they also told you about what questions they will be propounding to you, is it not?
They told me that I will be asked to present the documents and the content thereof.
Nothing more?
Nothing more.
So, when questions were propounded to you on matters that allegedly you know personally, that was not covered in your conference.
What matters? Vague again, Your Honor.
The record will show that
It can be anything under the sun, Your
Well,
Honor.
let the witness answer. He's very intelligent. That matters is very common term.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sir, I only testified as to the documents and the content of the documents, and I did not testify on anything else.
So when you
So
were
there's nothing to discuss, sir.
so when you were when they conferred with you, they never mentioned to you about their alleged impeachment complaint brought against the Chief Justice.
Sir, it is,
That's
sir, it is a public knowledge. I read the newspaper every day, and I watch news every day, every evening, and therefore any person knows that there's an impeachment proceeding.
all right. No, but that is not my question, whether you know or not. My question to you is, did they tell you what they expect to question you in connection with your examination now?
Sir, we never even discuss what they intend, what their objective is. Because I think everyone knows there's an impeachment proceeding, and they're the prosecutor, and they want me to present this evidence, this document. So there's no discussion of what it is they want to, because I don't think there's even a need to discuss that anymore.
I see. So even they did not go any further except that you bring the documents they wanted you to produce. Is that
Yes,
is that
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
They did not even ask you or tell you what this impeachment case is about. True, there is an impeachment case. What did they tell you what this impeachment case is about? Also no.
Sir, no more. It's
No more.
judicial. It's public knowledge.
No.
It is.
What I'm asking you is,
That's why there's no need to even talk to me what the impeachment proceeding is all about, because it is public knowledge. I'm a lawyer. I can read and I can get copy of the impeachment complaint. It's in the, I can have access to that, and I guess
All right.
to be Commissioner of Internal Revenue, I should know reading comprehension, sir.
so you have read news report about this from the newspaper and from the and also television shows.
Yes, sir. That's
All right.
part of my
All right.
habit.
And you knew, and by this time you must have been informed about the grounds of the impeachment, right?
Yes, sir.
Will you tell us what you were able to retain when you hear the talk shows in the TV and newspaper?
Well, first, because it's 8 ground, and some of the ground is that he should not have accepted the midnight appointment because it is a violation of the Constitution. Second, that he is biased by the vote that he voted. No? I think there's culpable violation of Constitution and all those things. And then the non-disclosure of statement of asset and liability and net worth. No? Those are the things that I can remember.
The way you made your narration, I'm inclined to believe that you never had the impression that in this case, the problem of illegally acquired wealth was never surfaced.
Well, for me, sir, when we talk of statement of asset and liability and net worth, it is inherent in that document that what we're talking about is illegally obtained wealth. No? Because otherwise, there's no need for anyone to even submit a statement of asset and liability and net worth. It would be just a piece of paper that anyone can just file.
All right.
And it's just a tedious process.
So when you came over in obedience to that subpoena, you knew you'll be testifying in connection with the alleged illegally acquired wealth of the Honorable Chief Justice Corona? Or you
I will be testifying as to what income has he reported, what income has the wife, the daughters, the son-in-law, the son has reported in their tax history. And also, I will be asked about transfers of properties.
Now, I understand that Chief Justice Corona is now being sued pursuant to an article of impeachment for failure to file and make public his SLN.
Your Honor, please.
Did you also
Your Honor,
Well,
please.
I'm not yet through, Your Honor, please.
Let the question be finished.
Did you come to know
Don't
about
be
that?
nervous, Counsel. You have plenty of
Yes.
time to respond.
Your Honor, please, ma'am. Your Honor, please, I object on the ground that it calls for a legal opinion or deals with legal conclusions, which is the function of the court.
Says the Commissioner of Internal Revenue. Let's wait for the answer.
You ask her about a lot of legal matters. Now I'm asking him what she knows.
Sir, what's the question again?
May we request for a reading of the question from the... Wala. Wala. All right.
Restate the question.
I'll do so as ordered, Your Honor, as directed. So, when you came over, you already knew that one of the matters that will be dealt with in your examination will be the issue of whether he had filed his statement of assets and liability. I'm referring to Chief Justice Corona.
Sir, I think everyone knows because everyone keep on arguing about that article, sir.
May we
No,
ask...
it is-
Yes, sir, I know.
Yeah.
From all the argument that's
May
going
I
on.
admonish the witness to answer the question, understand the question,
Yes, sir.
and answer the question as precisely and concisely as you can do it.
That's why that necessitates a comparative study of Chief Justice Corona's statement of liabilities in relation to other documents in your possession as Commissioner of Internal Revenue. Am I right?
Sir, I don't have the statement of asset and liability and net worth of Chief Justice Corona. It is not submitted to the Bureau of Internal Revenue.
All right.
What
Because-
I was asked to provide are only his income tax return or income tax payment, if any.
Correct. So, thank you for the information. So, you have never seen any statement of assets and liabilities of the respondent, Chief Justice Corona. Am I right?
Today, I have seen it already.
No.
You said
Go ahead,
I've never
please.
seen.
So,
I have seen it today.
Only
I
to-
have seen, as of today, I have already seen it, sir.
only today.
No. As of today, I have already seen the statement of asset and liability and
All right.
net worth.
How long a
Yeah,
time?
just to clarify, when exactly were you able to see the SAL-N of the respondent for the first time?
When it was given to me by a media person after the SAL-N was presented
A media
here.
person?
Yes, sir. When I was waiting for Thursday when I was called,
When was that?
January 19?
January 20?
19, sir.
19.
Yes, I was here on January 19, sir, in the holding room.
Proceed, Counsel.
So, this statement of assets and liabilities that is now the center of discussion now had never been discussed by you with the prosecution panel. Am I right?
Yes,
Because
sir.
it's the first time you saw it.
No, the first time I saw it was January 19.
Yes. No.
Yes, sir.
That was when the case was already filed.
Yes, sir.
And that was when the case is being tried already, the impeachment case. Is that
Yes,
not
sir.
right? All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Now, so you have no idea of what is the issue involved about this alleged statement of assets and liability of the Chief Justice.
Sir, I have no idea in the sense that I don't know what his asset and liabilities are. Yes, sir.
All right. And that, kindly tell the Honorable Court whether that was the subject of your discussion with the prosecution panel at any time before you took the witness stand.
No, sir. We did not discuss the SAL-N. We discussed the cars, the income tax return, and the other, like the alpha list.
So there was never a query coming from them asking you whether, based on the statement of assets and liabilities, together with the documents you have examined, there is a discrepancy or there is something not included in there. Am I right?
No, yes, sir. They never asked me that question.
Now, when you discovered or when you were informed that you will be taking the witness stand, this is the time that you ask permission from the Honorable President of the Republic of the Philippines.
Pardon,
to-
sir? May I...
alam niyo, Commissioner, matanda na rin ako kaya makalimutin ako. Alright. Alright. When you came to know that you will be testifying, alright, that was the time when you asked authority from the President of the Republic of the Philippines to allow you to come over, testify, and bring the documents required in the subpoena.
When I got the subpoena, my office got
Yeah.
the subpoena on January 19, I was in Tacloban. 18, I was in Tacloban, and then subpoena said I have to appear in January 19. So I appeared here without any documents, just to comply with the subpoena, and I asked that I be excused so that I can gather all the documents. No?
To show-
But on the 18th, when I got the subpoena, I already ordered my people to start preparing it. And then while I was here waiting January 19, I also ordered the drafting of a memorandum to His Excellency President Aquino requesting for an authority.
So that was after a couple of days when you had been here. That
No,
you asked for
the first day
the next
I'm
day.
here. The first day I was here, that afternoon after being excused, I left here and went to my office and drafted my memorandum and faxed it to the President.
Alright. And that was the time when the authority was given to you.
The authority was given to me the next,
day.
the very next day,
Alright.
January 20.
I noticed that it was not an authority coming personally from the Honorable President of the Republic of the Philippines, but by the Executive Secretary, right?
Yes.
We object, Your Honor. It says by authority of the President.
That was precisely my question.
That is by the President himself.
Yes.
Let the witness answer. You know,
It was issued
Just a
under
minute.
by signed.
you are all too jumpy.
It was signed by the Executive Secretary under the order of the President.
Right, all right. Now, was there any instance after that authority, prior or after that authority was issued, that you have a talk with the Honorable President of the Republic of the Philippines?
No, I have no opportunity to talk to him.
Oh, so it is safe to presume that when he knew about this, when the President knew about this, he never talked to you at any time.
From the time I wrote the memo, no. I coursed it through the Deputy Presidential Legal Counsel, who's in his office.
And did you have a talk with the Honorable Executive Secretary
No,
about
sir.
your appearing here?
No, sir.
With any high government official in connection with your coming over as a witness for the prosecution?
I informed my Secretary of Finance that I got a subpoena and that I will be asking for an order from the President to order me to bring those documents.
Did he tell you, go ahead, sundin mo yan sa pina, mag-appear ka, tumistigo ka, at sabihin mo ang katotohanan?
Oh,
Ayan. Did she also say that durugin mo na si Corona kung maaari?
wala ho siyang sinasabing gano'n.
Wala
ho.
sinabi. Oh. So you were holding your punches in connection with the subject matter of your testimony because there was no such statement on the part of the higher up of Malacanang.
Sir, I do not hold punches. I only do my job. And I'm a very professional person. Even if you're my worst enemy,
Oh.
I will just do my job. If you're complying, then
I
I
hope you
don't file
don't
a
have
case.
enemies.
Pardon?
He said, even if you are my worst enemy,
Enemy,
please
yes.
do not consider me an enemy. I am not. I'm just discharging the duties or the functions of a defense lawyer.
Yes,
Madam
sir.
Witness.
I am all merely discharging my function as Commissioner of Internal Revenue.
Now, examining the SAL and of Chief Justice Corona, which you saw while you were here already to testify, based thereon, kindly tell the Honorable Court whether you noticed any discrepancy or falsity in the said SAL.
I noticed a lot of discrepancy in the SAL that I saw, that the media gave me, because I measure it in relation to the SAL I have to submit.
By the way, is your office connected in any manner with the filing of SLN?
Only on our own SAL-N, and in relation to when we audit and examine government official, we request for statement of asset and liability and network.
In other words, it is very clear that insofar as the SAL is concerned of any government official, including the impeached Chief Justice, that is not a function pertaining to your office.
Sir, I never said it is my function.
I'm not
You
saying
asked
that
the
you
question.
said. I'm
sir.
asking you whether
It
it's
is not.
part of your...
It is only a function of my office in relation to when I file or assess tax deficiency or tax evasion cases.
All right.
I have just one point to clarify. Is this the first time that you ask for authority from the President to release the income tax return of taxpayers?
Yes, sir, because this is the first time I've ever been asked to, been subpoenaed to do so.
You do not know whether this kind of authorization which is lodged on the President is covered by authority of the President, authority of the Executive Secretary.
Sir, the BIR has had in the past, on our record, authority granted by the President, signed by the Executive Secretary.
So that's on record that it has been a practice that release of income tax returns was done by the signing authority of the Executive Secretary by authority of the President.
Yes, sir.
Proceed.
All right. So, the way I understood your statement now, it is my understanding that so far as the son of any person, including the impeached public respondent here, your office has nothing to do with it.
To the extent that I just described, no, I don't have anything to do with it.
All right. Neither does your office takes charge of the collection, compiling, and taking care of this salary. It's
Only-
entirely foreign to your function as a Bureau of Internal Revenue Commissioner.
Only for our own employees, we collate and keep record of our SAL-N.
How about other government officials? I'm not asking you about your employees. Other government officials.
No, it is filed not with us.
See,
With the ombudsman.
but it is filed with their respective offices to whichever they belong.
Yes,
That's
sir.
not right?
Yes, sir.
So much so that if you have no case involving it, you'll not come to know whether it was filed, whether the entries therein appearing are correct, authentic, and believable.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. I think that will be all in the meanwhile, Your Honor, with the witness. I will ask permission to be allowed to continue my cross-examination because I have to deal with a lot of other documents, Your Honor.
All right. The manifestation of the counsel for the defense is noted and recorded. The gentleman from Sorsogon, after that, the gentleman from Pampanga.
Just a few questions, Mr. President. First question is really to enrich jurisprudence on this matter. Madam Commissioner, how would you define an assessment? Ano po ba ibig sabihin ng assessment?
When somebody filed, an assessment is a letter written by the Bureau of Internal Revenue to a taxpayer telling them that either they have not paid the taxes and therefore this is their tax liability, or what they have filed is deficient and therefore there are more taxes that they have to pay.
Sinulatan niyo na ho ba ng assessment si Chief Justice Corona, yung kanyang asawa, kanyang mga anak?
Hindi pa ho.
Again, Mr. President, we already admitted these into evidence, but only to enrich jurisprudence. The section cited by the Honorable Commissioner, Section 71 of the Tax Code, says, after the assessment shall have been made, so on and so forth. And that's where the authority of the President comes in for it to be released. Because the ITRs are already now with the Office of the Commissioner. But correct me if I'm wrong, before that, the ITRs and other documents are not yet with the Office of the Commissioner and somewhere, siguro nasa baba, di ba? We already admitted it into the records. It's part of the records of this case. Gusto ko lang ho maliwanagan para in subsequent cases, klaro ho yung authority yung binibigay.
Because if you look at our tax system, it can be argued that when you file the return, it is a self-assessment. No? It is a voluntary assessment. It's a assessment on yourself. But aside from Section 71, it said here rules and regulation. There are rules and regulation number 33, which is an old rule since 1992, and which has also been cited in a Supreme Court, Kuunhing versus somebody, that says that when there is a proceeding where government interest is involved, we can actually present the document, without the order of the President.
I agree with you, Madam Commissioner. You can do that under perhaps Section 270 or another section of the tax code. But for this particular instance, you quoted in your memorandum to the President in response to the subpoena, Section 71, and not any other section of the tax code. Again, I just want to be clarified so that we're sure that next time we do it, we would be doing it properly also.
Sir, if I may recall, I begged the indulgence of the Senate President. I think when I was excused, the Senate President mentioned that I should make sure that I comply with Section 71 and Section 270. And therefore, just so that it will not delay the proceeding, I went ahead. It's like an overkill. I just went ahead and got those order to make sure that
you comply with our subpoena.
Yes, sir.
But strictly speaking, under any other circumstance, the permission of the President can only be given after assessment shall have been made.
That is something that has not been resolved by jurisprudence.
Thank you, ma'am. My next question, Mr. President, is hindi ko maintindihan actually yung tinatanong ni Attorney Cuevas kanina, pero para malaman ko lang yung significance. Pag abroad po ba isang Pilipino, kailangan niya mag-file ng income tax return?
Sir, ganito ho, pag kayo ho ay overseas Filipino worker, ibig sabihin ho, may kontrata kayo ng employer-employee arrangement, exempted ho kayo sa pagbabayad ng buwis sa Pilipinas kasi nagbabayad ho kayo ng buwis sa ibang bansa. Yun ho yun. Kasi hindi ho porke nasa abroad kayo, exempted na ho kasi kayo.
So, OFW lang exempted, pag hindi ko OFW, kailangan mo mag-file?
Aha.
Next, I've encountered several situations with the office before your term, in fairness, Madam Commissioner, na sinasabi ng BIR, no record on file, pero hindi pa naman kompleto kasi yung computerization at that time. May I ask the status of that? When you say no record on file, is that foolproof and 100%? Or is it possible that there is an ITR somewhere there na hindi pa lang napapasok sa computer?
There is a slim possibility, sir, no? Especially for early returns, no? For the earlier year returns, no? But not for the more recent return. And especially the possibility is not there if he is never registered as a taxpayer.
As a final question, Mr. Presiding Officer, may I ask, what taxes that, aside from capital gains, nabanggit niyo na po yun, ano po yung mga buwis na pwede niyong bayaran o nabayaran na hindi kailangan ideklara sa ITR? Pasensya na kayo, isa sa mga pinakamahina akong subject ang tax noon, so kindly educate me also on this.
Kung yung in relation to income ho, no?
ITR?
Yeah. Kung subject na ho siya sa final tax, no? Katulad ng interest sa bank deposit, ito ho, interest lang ho sa bank deposit kasi pag interest ho sa ibang bagay, kailangan pa rin nyo ideklara, no? Capital gains tax kasi meron kayong dinideklara sa ibang returns. Stock transaction tax sa stock exchange.
Pangatlo?
Capital gains or real estate.
Yeah, capital gains tax.
On capital assets.
Nakadeklara yan ho sa another returns, no? So basically ho, those are the...
So itong tatlong to, pag kumita ka doon, hindi mo kailangan ideklara sa ITR mo dahil may ibang form na sinasubmit sa BIR para doon?
Yun hong withholding sa interest on bank deposit, dapat ang bangko meron hong pinapadala ho sa amin. Parang hong alpha list rin ho yun.
At sa kaso naman ng shares of stock, yung stock exchange o yung broker?
Yun sa stock exchange, iniimbestigahan namin ho yun in regular interval ho.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Madam Commissioner.
The gentleman from Pampanga.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Just a few questions sa ating Commissioner. Magandang hapon.
Magandang hapon ho.
Nung isang araw, nabanggit po niyo, Commissioner Henares, na Biyernes lamang ninyo nabuo yung mga dokumento para yung mga dokumento o tax records ng mag-asawang Corona at yung mga anak. Tama po ba yun?
Actually, it went all the way ho to Monday, no?
Hanggang Lunes. In other words, fairly recent. Bago nun, hindi nyo pa nabuo itong mga tax records na ito.
Hindi pa ho.
Tinatanong ko yun dahil gusto ko ring dagdagan yung unang punto na nabanggit ni Senator Escudero. Merong A-list. Posible ba na yung nasa A-list ay mag-file ng separate income tax return na hindi ninyo o wala sa record ninyo o hindi napaabot sa Office of the Commissioner?
Kaya ho, kung makikita niyo ho yung certification namin, wala ho siyang return, no? Kaya we have to go to a more deeper step because we know he's employed, so how can he have no return? So we went to the next step of getting the alpha list, no?
Yes.
So that's how the process went.
Yes. So nakita natin meron siyang pangalan dun sa alpha list from 2007 up to 2011.
2006 to 2010.
Yes. Ang tanong ko, dahil sabi nyo kanina, maaaring may mga income tax return na hindi pa nare-retrieve. Minimal. Sabi nyo kanina sa interpellation kay...
Hindi. Tanong ho niya kung may possibility ba ho na hindi ho kami nakakuha nun income tax return.
That's right.
No?
At sabi nyo, minimal.
Yes, sir. Minimal.
So is it possible na merong income tax returns ang mag-asawang Corona na hindi ninyo nalikom at maaring narariyam pa? In other words, to prove na meron siyang ibang source of income apart from yung dokumento ninyo sa A-list.
As far as we are concerned, we check everywhere, no? So, of course, it's a possibility. Nobody can foreclose that, no? But upon due diligent search, no, we did not really get any ITR. Hence, we went one step further because we cannot believe that there's no income tax return. No?
Yes.
Because we know that he's employed, no? So we really double check, and then since there's none, we went and looked for the alpha list. Otherwise, we would not have gone to look for the alpha list.
So apart from the alpha list, wala nang ibang record kayong na-secure na merong ibang tax records ang nasasakdal?
Maliban ho dun sa car.
Yes,
You know.
and the car, sorry.
Yes.
Apart from the alpha list and the car. But, as you said, potentially, posible, there could be an ITR there somewhere that you have not been able to retrieve. And assuming it is out there, I mean, hypothetically, would you still be able to retrieve it? Sabihin na natin, given the next few days, the next few weeks, with a more diligent search?
We already certified that there's no return.
Okay.
No? And because normally it's like this, sir, no? If there is a return out there, then it must be a no payment return. No taxes was paid on that return. Because all return that has payment will automatically be tagged in our system. So if there's any return out there, the tax due is zero. So it will be very, very minimal, sir.
Okay, and this is another point altogether, and I beg the indulgence of our colleagues here, but I was just interested and curious. Sabi ninyo, walang niremit ang Supreme Court na A-list from what year to what year?
Walang na-meet ho.
Na A-list?
Alpha list ho.
Alpha list.
From 2002 to 2005.
Anong ibig sabihin nun? from 2002 to 2005, hindi sila
Hindi ho. May mga taxpayer ho na nagwi-withhold sila at nire-remit niya yung withholding tax, no? Whether tama yun o hindi, we have to check, no? But they are remiss in the reporting requirement. No?
Okay.
This is a reporting requirement.
Okay.
No? They feel that sometimes it's not necessary. They think it's not necessary. No? And the tax code kasi only provide a penalty. No?
Okay.
Some people will say that I'll just be penalized.
But that doesn't mean that the taxes that were withheld
Were not remitted.
was not turned over. Hindi ibig sabihin.
Hindi ho. Hindi
Okay.
ho ibig
Okay.
sabihin.
Maraming salamat. Salamat po.
Mr. President, Senator Cayetano wishes to be recognized, and then Senator Drilon, and then thereafter Senator Ralph Recto, Mr. President.
In that order.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ma'am, magandang hapon po.
Magandang hapon ho.
Just some questions to clarify. Sabi niyo po may nakita kayong discrepancies sa SAL-N ng Chief Justice. Tama po ba yan? Observation niya.
Aha.
What do you mean discrepancies?
Well, first, sir, the most important thing in the SAL-N is the acquisition cost column. No? The SAL-N of the Chief Justice, he does not fill up the acquisition cost column. And secondly, based on the cars that were issued, there were properties that should have been registered on a certain year, but it was not registered. It was registered subsequently, no? And then there were properties that were not registered.
Okay. Let's stop there because as the defense has been pointing out, it's important that competent yung isang person mag-testify on that matter. And I wouldn't have asked you kung hindi ka tinanong din nung ni Justice Cuevas, no? But my point is, and to be fair to everyone, just because may discrepancies, hindi ibig sabihin na illegal to o mali na to. Meaning, it could be, but it could also be explainable, correct?
It is possible, sir.
Yes. Meaning you're just giving your observation that you saw it at sa tingin mo may discrepancies. But to be fair to the side of the Chief Justice, it's possible that it can be explained.
Yes, sir. It's for him
For
to
example,
explain.
sabi niyo po, hindi nilagay mode of acquisition. Kasi ang alam ko dyan, you can have a choice whether, pagdating sa price, you can either put the appraised or assessed value or you can put the acquisition cost. No? Ang nakalagay kasi dito, sa SAL niya, mode of acquisition, hindi yung price no? nung acquisition. No? But we're not here to argue this. I just wanted to point out, because going to another point, that the point is you have a presumption of innocence, but then if you can show that there is property not included here, or even it is included, pero hindi mo mapakita na sa income mo kaya mong bilhin yon, then the presumption shifts, di ba? Nagiging presumption na meron kang ill-gotten wealth. And then the defense can now show na can try to explain, and if they can explain kung saan galing ang pera at legitimate yung pera, then na-overthrow ulit ang presumption. No? So, my point, ma'am, kasi kanina nag-testify kayo na yung isang daughter was si Charina. Nagkaroon kayo ng investigation dahil sabi niyo wala siyang income pero nakabili ng property. Okay. Did you ask her or did you call her or give her an opportunity to answer, or at the stage of your investigation it didn't call for that yet?
It is just came to our attention while we're preparing for the impeachment case.
Okay.
And I didn't have any opportunity to go back to my office and do my work. No?
So you
I
are
don't have the
simply
opportunity.
testifying on your personal knowledge and the usual course of the procedure when something is brought up to your knowledge.
Yes, sir.
Yes. But meaning, to be fair again to the defense and to everyone, there is a possibility when she is asked to explain, she will be able to explain.
There is a possibility, sir.
And for example, for those possibilities, halimbawa ma'am, pagka kayo ba'y kumita sa stock market halimbawa, di ba final tax yon, hindi ka naman magpa-file talaga ng income tax doon, di ba?
Oho, pero ang problema ho doon is dapat ho meron kayong unang kapital, no?
Yes.
Wala naman ho siyang
And
income.
are you familiar with the presidential decree of President Marcos which prohibits gifts to public officials?
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with the exception?
Not really, sir.
To family members, donations of small amounts or of reasonable amounts are allowed. So if for 18 years, binibigyan mo anak mo ng 100,000 pesos a year for 18 years, then you would have 1.8 million when you're already 18 years old. No, so I'm not giving or testifying for anyone here. I'm just saying, balansehin natin that tama po yung sinabi nyo. There has to be capital.
Yes, sir.
But I'd also like to point out that that's why the burden is on the prosecution to show that there are in fact properties na hindi mapaliwanag. But kung mapakita nilang hindi nga mapaliwanag, nagsishift na yung burden na ito. And I just didn't like to end the day na you did your job well and you testified on your personal knowledge, but then hindi natin makumpleto yung picture just on your testimony. That's why I wanted to clarify those matters. No? Lastly, Your Honor, you got authority from the President to testify on the income tax returns, correct?
To bring the income tax, yes.
And to testify on it,
Yes.
right? Can a taxpayer waive his right? Meaning ako, sabihin ko, halimbawa, challenge ng media, o lahat ng prosecution, pakita nyo rin ang SAL nyo. Lahat ng judges, pakita nyo rin, o BIR nyo, ilabas. Can we write you a letter and say na ipakita nyo?
Yes, sir.
Can we waive it in favor of a different person? May waive it na sinasabi ko, the Secretary of the Senate is authorized to look at my income tax.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
In effect, you're telling me to allow
Correct.
him to look at it.
No, because again, to be fair to Your Honor, let me just read the statement behind, no, which was signed by public officials when they do the SAL. I hereby authorize the Ombudsman or his duly representative, mali ata English. Dapat his duly representative. Binabasa ko lang po to, hindi ko to English. To obtain and secure. Hindi, ito po nakalagay. I hereby authorize. I'm reading behind the Exhibit G1. I hereby authorize the Ombudsman or his duly representative to obtain and secure from all appropriate government agencies, including the Bureau of Internal Revenue, such documents that may show assets, liability, net worth, business interest, and financial connections to include those of my spouse and unmarried children below 18 years of age living with me in my household, covering previous years, to include the year I first assumed office in government. I'm saying this because apparently hindi unusual na tignan ang SAL at tignan ang tax records ng isang public official. In fact, baliktad. Dapat tinitignan ng ombudsman at dapat may nagbabantay dahil ito magiging basihan kung tapat ang isang public official or kung siya'y nagpapayaman.
Parati ho kaming hinihingan ng ombudsman ng SAL-N namin at income tax return.
Thank you, Mr. President. My time is up. I have a number of other questions, but let me give way to the other senator judges.
I just want to clarify one point. Madam Commissioner, just for the information of this court, when you do a net worth method of investigating any taxpayer, you use acquisition cost, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Not the value, not the fair market value.
Yes, sir.
Acquisition cost against liabilities.
Real liabilities,
And
sir.
income.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Drilon, Mr. President.
The gentleman from Iloilo.
Madam Witness,
Yes,
you
sir.
know, for many of us, we heard of the Alpha List for the first time only yesterday. And from the way we understood your testimony, where the income is only from one source, then it is the employer who, in effect, files the income tax return, and the taxpayer need not file an income tax return.
Yes, if the if income is from one source and that withholding tax are properly withheld,
Yes.
then the annual alpha list will take the place of the income tax return and the person need not file an income tax return.
So that if there are other sources of income, you have to file an income tax return and you have to pay the taxes, if any. Is that
Yes,
correct?
sir. If there are other sources of income or if the taxes were less than what you have to pay, you have to file an income tax return.
With the permission of Senator Drilon, would the withholding applies to bonuses and allowances?
Yes, sir.
The party paying the bonus and the allowances will have to withhold the
Yes, sir.
corresponding tax?
Yes, sir. The only exemption is up to 30,000, and for government official, it's the RATA, the representation allowance and transportation allowance, and the PERA. Those are the only exemptions, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Now, you earlier mentioned that after you received the subpoena on this particular matter of Chief Justice Corona, you went one step farther. I heard that phrase. Can you tell us exactly what you meant by going one step farther?
Sir, because the subpoena said income tax return of the people involved. No? So we looked for the income tax return and we cannot find any. No? So, but we know that he is employed, and therefore we gave instruction to find out where the Supreme Court file is a taxpayer, and we asked the RDO for if the Supreme Court submit alpha lists and to provide us with the alpha list. So that's the one step further that we meant, sir.
And Chief Justice Corona was in the alpha list submitted by the Supreme Court.
Yes, sir.
And since you mentioned that the alpha list would only be feasible where you have one source of income from one employer where withholding tax was done, it means that in the case of Chief Justice Corona, your records will show that he had only one source of income, and that is his salary from the Supreme Court. Is that a correct statement?
Yes, sir. And that salary is only, that income is the amount shown in the alpha list.
That income is what is shown in the alpha list. Does the alpha list indicate whether it is basic salary, bonus, etc.?
It has different columns. It includes their non-taxable bonuses and gratuities, then the GSIS, Pag-ibig, PhilHealth contribution. It's in the column, sir.
In the case of Chief Justice Corona, where did the compensation, on which column did his compensation appear?
Sir, can I?
Yes, you may.
I'll just get one.
Yes.
With Justice Corona, the column is like this. No? There's a gross compensation income. It says, under the gross compensation, it has a subheading non-taxable. And under non-taxable, there's GSIS, PHIC, and HDMF. The amount there is 23,374.74. Then there's a bonus and slash benefits. It said there 30,000. Then it said taxable, there's a taxable subcolumn, and it said there bonus slash benefit, which is taxable, 27,417. Then another subcolumn saying salaries and others, 604,388.46.
What year was that?
Year 2008. Then there's an amount of exemption. I think this is personal exemption. It said 41,000. Then tax due January to December, it's 154,057.75. Then it said tax withheld January to December, 157,236.24. Then because there's a column over withheld tax or refunded, there's under withheld tax. There's over withheld, no? So 3,178.49. So his tax withheld as adjusted is 154,057.75. 154,057.75.
And therefore, he got a refund.
When you're in the alpha list, it's a requirement in the tax code. The December, the employer have to make the adjustment, so that there's no more refunding coming from the BIR.
So that amount corresponded to the taxes on the bonus in excess of 30,000 and the salary of 604,308.45. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, you said that Chief Justice Corona had no income tax return filed.
Yes, sir.
It means that other than the alpha list, what is stated in the alpha list, the Chief Justice did not have any other income per BIR records.
Yes, sir.
What about his wife?
His wife also did not file an ITR. She also has an alpha list from Camp John Hay.
And therefore, the same presumption is valid that she did not have any other compensation other than what appears in the alpha list.
Actually, with the wife, she has a little problem. Because she received, aside from her compensation, she received a director's fee, where withholding tax is only 10%. So there was no proper withholding of taxes, and she should have filed an income tax return.
And your records will not show that an income tax return was filed.
Yeah, there's no income tax return filed.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Anyone else? Majority Floor Leader?
Senator Recto, Mr. President.
The gentleman from Batangas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very briefly, in the interest of fairness and justice, and to increase the intellectual quotient of our public with regard to taxes, I ask these few questions, Mr. President. Mr. President, let me first follow up on the question of our Senate President. Allowances and bonuses. Ang sinabi ng ating testigo kanina, pagka mahigit 30,000 ay taxable na. Tama ba yun? Sino ang dapat mag-withhold niyan? Yung employer.
Ang employer.
At kung alam ng employee na kulang ang withhold, dapat nag-file siya ng income tax return. Para yung balance siya dapat ang magbayad. Pero mahirap sigurong isipin para sa ordinaryong empleyado that is the case. Halimbawa, pag dito ka nagtatrabaho sa Senado, nakatanggap ka ng bonus, mahigit 30,000, hindi ka na mag-file ng bagong income tax return. I suppose that is happening throughout the bureaucracy in the different government agencies.
Sir, I think...
I'm just stating a fact, ha?
Yes. It should be the employer who should make the adjustment
correct.
At the end of the year.
So, sa makatuwid, pagka halimbawa, in the case of the Supreme Court, there is an accounting office. Kung hindi nila, on the initial basic salary, kung hindi nila kinaltasan, lalo pang hindi nila rinimit, sila ang mananagot.
Actually, sa batas, dalawa ho ang mananagot.
So, silang dalawa?
Silang dalawa pa rin ho.
I'll just review the law, pero silang dalawa mananagot.
Yung isa for non-withholding, yung isa for not paying taxes.
Posible. No? Okay. So let me move from that issue. Incidentally, I do have a bill on February 2. We will have a hearing on that. But let me move on, Mr. President. On the face of the car testified to earlier, I think this is WW. This is with regard to the La Vista property. Without looking at the income tax returns. Dito, ito yung binenta ni Cristina Corona kay
Maria Carla Castillo. Just on its face. Sa makatuwid, dito, nakalagay dito, binenta ko tong property ito, 18 million yung halaga. Just on its face. At nakalagay dito, nagbayad si Mrs. Corona ng 1,296,000. Tama ho ba yun?
Oo.
Okay. Therefore, kumita siya ng mahigit 16 million.
Oo.
Tama?
Kung totoo yung transaction.
Tama. On its face.
Yes,
Totoo yung
yes.
transaction nangyari.
Oo.
Ha? Let's not make any conclusions further than that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So having said that, Madam Witness, aside from the income of the Chief Justice, para makita natin ang katotohanan din, to be fair to the defense as well. Halimbawa, kung sakasakali na totoo itong transaksyon na ito, hindi lamang yung sweldo ni Chief Justice Corona ang dapat natin i-compute, kung hindi, itong isang pagbentang ito, nagbayad pa siya ng buwis katunayan ng 1,296,000. At dapat idadagdag natin ito, kumita siya ng mahigit 16 million dito. On its face. Isn't that correct?
On its face, yes, sir, but the
Thank you for
period
the answer.
is different.
No.
Yes,
What you're
sir, on
saying
its face.
now is, in the income tax return, so let me proceed to that. What you testified earlier is on the income tax return of Maria Carla Castillo.
Yes,
In
sir.
effect, you're questioning her capability to buy
Yes,
this
sir.
property
Yes, sir.
just by reviewing the income tax returns.
Of Maria Carla
That is right.
Constantino.
Have you reviewed the income tax returns of the husband as well?
Yes, sir.
But that has not been testified to yet.
No, sir.
Hindi pa. So, ibig sabihin, magkakaroon pa kayo niyan. Posible.
I don't know, sir.
Maybe. Kasi tinawag ng prosecution eh. No? Okay. Kung halimbawa naman, yung kanyang father-in-law ang nagpautang sa kanya, I mean, it does not necessarily prove anything immediately. If at all, non-payment of taxes sila, but it doesn't prove immediately that it is conclusive na wala siyang pera para bilhin ito. On that other hand.
Yes, sir.
Diba?
Yes,
Okay, well, thank you for that. My time is up, Mr. President.
In other words, the mere incapacity on record of his income tax by a buyer of property to buy the property is not an absolute evidence of illegalness of resources used to buy the property.
We have to look at other circumstances, sir.
Precisely. You are just basing your conclusion on the fact that the income tax return on its face of the buyer would not support the ability to purchase.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. President, one final member of the court, Senator Joker Arroyo, wishes to be recognized.
The gentleman from Makati Indigo.
This is not really a question, but clarification. You said that on the 19th of January, you received the subpoena.
18th of...
18th.
Yes, sir.
And immediately you wrote the executive secretary.
I wrote the executive secretary on January 19, the next day.
All right. Now, and on January 20, you received the authorization.
Yes, sir, at 6:45
Right.
p.m.
I just want to lay the speed with which,
Pardon?
the speed with which,
Sir, I harassed them to issue it because otherwise I might be cited in contempt by the Senate procedure.
how could you have harassed them when you said you did not talk to them?
No, I harassed the Deputy Legal Presidential Counsel, sir.
All right, we will take your word for it. Because now, I did not exactly capture of what you answered the defense. Is this the first time since you assumed office that the President of the Philippines issued an authority to the Commissioner of Internal Revenue to release the ITRs?
Yes, sir.
So in other words, throughout the period when you were, when did you assume the office of?
Just July 2, 2010, sir, at the same time as the President.
So that's roughly 1.5 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for 1.5 years, there was never an instance where the President of the Philippines authorized the release of an ITR.
No, sir.
So this stands out as, you know, of a kind of a singular incident.
Sir, because nobody asks for returns from us. That's not authorized, sir.
Then, again, I want to be clarified as to the statement that the Commissioner of Internal Revenue is now conducting an investigation of Chief Justice Corona.
Sir, I said that it warrants a further investigation, sir.
Right, okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm just basing this on the recollection of your statement. No? In the course of your examination of the papers that you had, you found it necessary to pursue an investigation. And do I understand you correctly?
Sir, because of the...
You don't give the reason first. It was because of your investigation. Then you can... was
Yes.
it because of that? The papers in front of you...
The data in the papers in front of me dictates that I should investigate further.
All right. Now, and you conducted an investigation.
We are conducting an investigation at present.
Now, does the Commissioner of Internal Revenue personally conduct an investigation of the papers? I mean, at your level, is that not delegated to someone else?
Sir, when paper comes to me and I see there's something wrong, I order the investigation. So, on my first review, if there's already something wrong, then I will order. But if there's nothing wrong, then I will just let it aside.
I ask this question because if you pursue your investigation, I'm not saying you shouldn't, then there will be a parallel case against the Chief Justice. One in the impeachment court and another one of the Commissioner of Internal Revenue. Now, I get a little bothered by that. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. But a twin move against one person here in the Senate through impeachment, another one in the Internal Revenue through investigation using the powers of the Bureau of Internal Revenue. That's very potent. I'm just saying that because from your testimony, you said that we are now conducting an investigation. I mean, there seems to be some over-eagerness in them.
Sir, it's not over. I guess the thing there is, if we see there's something wrong and we do not do anything, people will accuse us of sleeping on our job.
Let me ask you, do you think you could have postponed the investigation? You can imagine you were going to appear here and simultaneously you're conducting an investigation. I mean, doesn't that a little bit unusual? What I'm saying is this. You are preparing for your testimony here. At the same time, you and your office are studying already whether the respondent Corona did not file, or what's that? Did not have enough income, or made, or his report, or his income. What's your investigation about?
Sir?
What is the nature of your investigation?
It's a net asset network method to determine whether there was some income that he did not report and did not pay taxes thereon.
All right. I ask the question. Can you not have waited?
Sir, I only answered the question about seeing this.
Remember, the question here is one of policy. We don't want the public to think that the forces of the government are being used. One impeachment initiated by the House of Representatives and now tossed to the Senate for trial. Then another one before the Bureau of Internal Revenue for some tax malfeasance or whatever. I'm just saying that is my what you call this concern. I'm not questioning anything, but my concern.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President,
Majority Floor Leader.
thank you, Mr. President. As much as it was manifested earlier that the continuance of the impeachment, the cross-examination would be next week, may I manifest some other matters? Mr. President, we would like to make of record that yesterday, January 25, 2012, the prosecution filed a manifestation stating that the prosecution is now temporarily discharging from appearing before this honorable tribunal until further notice the following: Robert Guillermo, Register of Deeds, Pasay City; Romoles D. Penilla, Assistant City Assessor, Makati; Raymond G. Ramos, Register of Deeds, Parañaque City; Fernando M. Fandino, City Assessor, Pasay City; Marco Antonio B. Abad, OIC, City Assessor, Parañaque City; Roberto S. Villaluz, OIC, City Assessor, Taguig City; Jaime Bayani, President and CEO, John Hay Management Corporation; Sonica O. Angeles, Vice President, Staff Officer 4, Office of the Vice President; and Jose D. Castro, City Assessor, Quezon City. Well, you manifest the...
Noted.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yesterday also, January 25, 2012, Counsel of Chief Justice Renato Corona filed an opposition to the January 25, 2012 request of the prosecution for the court to issue subpoena ad testificandum and subpoena duces tecum requiring certain officers of various banks to testify and to bring documents in relation to the purported bank accounts of Chief Justice Corona and or his wife, Cristina R. Corona. This morning, the prosecution filed a motion to withdraw its earlier request for the issuance of subpoena to certain officers of the Bank of the Philippine Islands, Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation, Philippine National Bank, Land Bank of the Philippines, and the Bank of the Philippine Islands Family Savings Bank, so as not to saddle this honorable court. And while waiting for the issuance of the formal resolution of this honorable court regarding the clarifications to its 25 January 2012 ruling. In the said motion, the prosecution prays that the request for subpoena ad testificandum and subpoena duces tecum dated 25 January 2012 be withdrawn, with reservation to the right of the prosecution to file the appropriate request for specific bank accounts of Renato C. Corona and Cristina R. Corona at the appropriate time. I move, Mr. President, that the presiding officer rule on the motion.
If I recall correctly, there was a, I think, a motion of the prosecution to withdraw that request for subpoena against the banks.
Yes, yes, we filed, for the information, Mr. President, we filed
An ex parte
manifestation, yes. I think it was filed this morning.
Yeah, we received it,
To
and
withdraw.
that's why I'm making that statement that the request for subpoena against the banks had been withdrawn.
Yes.
Am I correct in this?
Yes, you're correct,
Now,
Mr. President.
may I request, the chair rather now request the parties that when they request for a subpoena to be issued by this court, you must make your request for subpoena duces tecum with respect to document in such a manner that there is a specificity of the documents to be requested. Because I noticed that the prosecution has requested this court to issue a subpoena against certain real estate developers, especially developers of buildings like condominiums, requiring the production of all kinds of records involved in the development, which is a backshot manner of requesting subpoena. And I'm not saying that you are doing it intentionally, but the impression is that you are actually fishing for evidence, which is not proper. So, otherwise, if I'll grant the subpoena, then I will be compelling the developers to bring even the engineering plans, the architectural plans, the sewage plans, and all other documents involving the construction of the building, which are not relevant in this proceeding. So I would suggest that in order not to intrude into the privacy of people who are not involved in these proceedings, that you specify with particularity the documents that you want this court to be subpoenaed.
We will comply, Mr. President.
Is there anything else, Majority Floor Leader?
Yes, Mr. President, just two small items. We are in receipt of a notice of appearance filed by several private prosecutors on January 25, 2012, where as counsel for complainants in relation to Article 1, subject to the supervision and control of the public prosecutors. The names and signatures of the counsel are indicated in the said notice, Mr. President.
Can you
Just to manifest.
read the notice?
Yes. Yes, we in receipt of the notice, Mr. President.
Can
We
you
will
read
just
the
take note.
notice?
Thank you. One final matter, Mr. President. May we recognize Senator Gregorio Nasan for a manifestation.
Gentleman from Bicol.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, with the indulgence of the court, I would just like to raise two issues. One, administrative and procedural. The other, a matter of principle as it relates to the procedures. Mr. President, I would like to move for the court to direct the court spokesperson to confer with the spokespersons of both the prosecution and the defense, so that if it is not yet being done, they may moderate their public pronouncements and statements. Mr. President, I proceed from the issue raised by Senator Arroyo about the premature and unwarranted disclosure of what constitutes the merits of the case, which to my mind remains unresolved and unverified. I am not suggesting a gag rule. I still subscribe to the liberal application of the rules. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to my mind, I believe that the trial outside the courtroom is proceeding faster than the trial inside the courtroom. And as we speak, I think it should be the other way around, because as we speak, verdicts are being rendered in the hearts and minds of our people. The second issue, Mr. President, is related to an issue raised when we resumed last Tuesday, to which both the prosecution and the defense agreed. The principle in the rule in our Constitution that presumes innocence. Mr. President, I believe this is a continuing presumption until the verdict is rendered. In fact, I would expand this principle. What about the presumption of honor of a good family name? Sa tingin ko po, Ginoong Pangulo, hindi naman tama. I don't think it was the intention of the law or the spirit of the law na payagan tayong sirain yung pangalan ng isa't isa. What about our children and grandchildren? What about their future? So, Mr. President, I submit.
Yeah. Before we proceed, I would like to state that the Chair approves and grants the motion of the prosecution to withdraw the request for subpoena duces tecum against the banks filed by them previously. So ordered. Now, there is this request by certain private lawyers to appear for the prosecution. Are they authorized to represent the prosecution, or are they appearing here in their private capacities to participate in the proceeding, and are they asking the leave of this court?
I signed that request, Your Honor.
So it is
as a part of the House panel of prosecution under our direct control and supervision.
It is upon the behest of the panel of prosecutors, House prosecutors, that this request is requested.
And it is specific that they will act as private prosecutors for a particular article in the impeachment complaint.
So you want these people to assist you?
Yes,
All
Mr.
right.
President.
Granted.
We heard earlier that the defense reserved the right to continue their cross-examination of the witness, and I was just informed by the witness, Your Honors, and I would like to inform the defense and this honorable body that next week she'll be out for 1 week from Monday until the following Monday because of official, I think it's official, out of the country official business. So I just want to inform the honorable tribunal.
The defense counsel may consider postponing his cross-examination upon the return of this witness from...
We have no objection, if Your Honor, please. Why we were not able to terminate is because they have not announced that they are terminating the direct.
Yes. So
now, if they have closed their direct examination, Your Honor, I'll be compelled to carry on the cross-examination.
So,
it is on that basis, Your Honor. We have no objection, if Your Honor, please.
all right. Granted, the request of the witness to appear for further cross-examination when she returns is granted.
Mr. President, the manifestation of Senator Honasan was in the form of a motion. I call for the previous question, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Is there any objection regarding the motion of Senator Honasan, the gentleman?
Clarification. It is for the spokesperson of the Senate to coordinate with the two panels spokespersons.
Is there any objection to that?
Administrative matter, Mr. President.
To that request? There's none. The request is granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. May we ask the Sergeant at Arms to make an announcement?
Please rise. All persons are commanded to remain in their places until the Senate President and the Senators have left the session hall.
Mr. President, I move that we adjourn until 2 o'clock in the afternoon of Monday, January 30, 2012 for the continuation of the presentation of the prosecution.
Any objection? The motion of the majority floor leader is approved.